What's up, Digital Breakers? James Downton here, and welcome to another review. This time we're talking episode 24 of Sword Art Alicization. Now, if you like episodes where you have good action, good fight scenes, and you really enjoyed the Kirito moment where he got his SAO gear from the last couple of episodes, then you are going to love this episode right here. Because in this episode we start off with a confrontation between Quinella and Kirito. And Quinella was actually quite talkative throughout this entire scene, but we have the standoff that we've been waiting for. Kirito and Quinella going at it just like in the open. So Quinella's actually basically bossing Kirito around at this point. Kirito can't do anything. We find out that Yushio's actually still alive, and he's kind of encouraging Kirito to stay cool. You know, that horrible joke about him not knowing when to use that phrase, he finally gets it right. So congrats to Yushio. Now, after this sort of pep talk from Yushio, Kirito actually picks up the shattered blue rose and acquires the red rose sword. And she starts using, you know, dual blades, which was hinted at by Alice in episode 22, 21, one of those episodes, and she's using his SAO cloak throughout this entire fight. So you've got nostalgia from Aincrad. And the conclusion of this fight was done really well in my personal opinion. We had Kirito actually putting up a decent fight afterwards with two swords, and then they both trade arm for arm, leaving Quinella basically limbless. Apart from her legs, obviously, she can still stand. She then basically takes advantage of the situation using her hair, which her hair is ridiculous at this point. Like, throughout the entirety of the show, her hair's been like really weird, and the mechanic behind it, obviously for censorship, but it's just weird. Anyway, she catches Kirito in the hair. Kirito, with his other arm left, cuts the hair away and pierces Quinella's body. She actually makes Quinella in this episode actually makes a few remarks during this fight and after this fight that are quite interesting. Here are a few that caught my attention. She makes a note to point out that Kirito looks like a Dark Knight in his SAO gear, which is obviously a reference to the contrast between him and Asuna back in season 1. Obviously, Quinella was also kind of referring to the Dark Territory in her own weird way. And when Kirito basically states about sword skills, Quinella basically proves that she knows about them. But in the underworld, where they're at now, they don't actually use that phrase sword skills. However, Quinella does in this episode, which surprises Kirito. So, you know, a couple of things there were quite sort of weird for a character to say, but opened up a few possibilities for speculation. Now, after Quinella basically is covered in cracks and has a massive hole through her chest, she basically limps over to her laptop and tries to log out. Which is slightly odd again because she's an AI, so she really doesn't have a body to go to. So where she logs out to, I don't really know, but oh well. She doesn't succeed because the Joker, Jester, the little horny man, basically jumps at her and sets her on fire as she's ascending upwards. Which did kind of look like a cross when all the flames had kind of engulfed her, which is kind of symbolism, like, you know, the Christian sort of faith, but I'm not going to go into that too much because that's a dark territory to go into. See what I did there? And afterwards, we have one of the most saddest scenes in all of Sword Art. This scene was actually sadder than the Yuki death, in my personal opinion. So, we see Kirito go over to Yushio, and Yushio's like, "It's okay for me to die. I will atone for my sins." Obviously that being that he betrayed Kirito and turned evil. And what made this scene so incredibly sad was the fact that the music playing throughout the entirety of the scene was quite sad and sort of on point to what was happening. As well as the fact is we have clarification on that really weird memory scene that Quinella showed Yushio when she was trying to take control of him. The scene where Kirito and Alice are sat in the forest, and they basically say, no, let's have a bit longer, Yushio won't find out. It turns out that they were making him a birthday present. And in this scene, he receives the present, although 3 days early. He ends up crying. And that scene really just adds to the overall feel of this sort of death, making it a lot more sadder. So, Yushio still slowly passing away, and we also get the revelation that another reason why Yushio had to die was because Kirito and Yushio will be fighting again down the road if he survived, because he would want his Alice to come back that he remembers before she was taken away, and Kirito would probably want the Alice that's currently with us to stay. So they'll be fighting as to who gets Alice's body, what personality stays, and what gets deleted. So that's a really good thing that not even I considered when watching this. I was just happily going with the flow. And the fact that they pointed this out was actually kind of cool. So Yushio passes on. He's finally with his childhood friend, Alice, as he walks into the afterlife. And I thought the episode was actually going to stop there. But no, this episode kicked it up yet another gear. We had Kirito running over to the laptop, quite angry, shouting at the monitor, trying to get someone's attention from the outside. And we see what's happening on the outside, and in the turtle base, where Kirito is being looked after in the real world, and where the programmers that created the underworld are at, we see them in confrontation with a group of mercenary / soldiers. And I thought nothing of it on my first watch through, but after watching it again for the second time, I noticed that one of the people there heavily resembled the group that we saw Kirito and the gang fighting in GGO at the start of the season. And in my previous reviews that I've done for this, I have stated that if you don't follow up on that, I'll be really disappointed. So this is their way of following up on it, and honestly, it's a good way to do so. I enjoyed it. It was a nice revelation that, yes, okay, it took me a couple of tries / watches to get, but I wasn't really paying attention on my first through because I was just actually overwhelmed by everything else that was going on. So that was really good foreshadowment, kind of, and follow-upment, if that's even a word, with the series. I enjoyed that part. Next, we have the soldiers basically trying to cut off the power, and it's stated that if they cut off the power, Kirito would be in even more danger in the real world. And this scene at the end to finish off the episode was just fantastic. We have a huge lightning bolt come down and strike Kirito as he flies backwards, and as he does, he sees Asuna in her SAO gear falling down to the ground. The episode ends there, and we do also find out that Kirito has to take Alice to somewhere that happens to be in the Dark Territory, so that's where we're basically going to be going for the next season. Now, this series will be taking a break until October, and they release this information pretty much straight away after the episode, or on the same day that it came out. Now, I don't know how it's going to go on because I haven't read the light novels, but I will be bringing up a video soon about my predictions for what I think is going to happen as the series progresses. Now, like I said, I have not read the light novels, so it is only my sort of speculation and guess, which I'll have in a separate video, because it's something I can elaborate on without making this review too long. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. This is actually the first Sword Art episode that I can remember me watching and then going, okay, I need more episodes now. Where are they at? Because Sword Art for me is a series that kind of falls short on most parts. And it's not a brilliant anime overall, but this series as a whole has just been fantastic. As in, the Alicization arc has been brilliant. I fully enjoyed it. The only episode that I haven't enjoyed of this season would be episode 23, which is the episode just before this one. I haven't done a review on it simply because I just had nothing nice to say about it. It was just weird and kind of awkward. I did not like the whole thing about Yushio turning into a sword and flying. I thought that was way too ridiculous. But if you guys really do want me to do a review on that, where it's going to be more of a rant than a review, then let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, the music was on point in this episode, animation was phenomenal, storytelling was brilliant. Like I said, I haven't read the light novel, so I don't know if they missed anything out. But for me, it was actually a really impactful death, a really good way to finish off a villain, and Quinella got what she deserved. And the cliffhanger, again, was unexpected and very much welcome. So that's going to do it for this review, because I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. Again, brilliant episode. I'll probably give it an 8.5 out of 10 overall. Probably the best death scene we've had in Sword Art. Yeah, this season has been brilliant. We've had so many cool weapons introduced, which I might talk about that in detail later on. But apart from that, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me, and until next time, keep it digital.